Welcome back to another episode of With the Chiefs. Today we've got with us Dillon Rinn, a man who needs no introduction, but in case you've been living under a rock for the last few years, we'll give him an introduction. Dillon's an absolute animal. He's completed some incredible endurance feats the last few years, including in 2020, he ran 100 Ks at the Elephant Trail race wearing a 30-pound vest. I think it was a world record. No one's ever done that before. And then in 2022, he's done 50 Ks per day for 50 days and raised $11,000 for Beyond Blue. And this year he's ran the Elephant Trail race again and completed 217 kilometers, 11,500 meters of elevation, and become the only person in the race history to complete that feat in 44 and a half hours. I think the event's been going for 7 years and Dillon's the only guy who could do it. So yeah, welcome to the show, Dillon. Keen for this one.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Well, let's get started.
Yeah, usually we kick the show off with a bit of a training update, just kind of recapping how our weeks have been going. How's your training looking at the moment?
Pretty good, actually. I'm in the middle of a prep for Coast to Cozzy, so that's my next race, the 240 kilometres. So it'll be the furthest I've ever gone, and it's going to be a lot tougher, I reckon, than the Elephant Trail race.
Really?
Which ended up being, well, my watch said 225, but sometimes it's out. But I find it harder to run on road. So Coast to Cozzy being half road, half dirt, it's going to be a lot tougher on the joints, I think. So I've just been trying to prep the body with that. So my training this week, I am trying to hit around 130 kilometers. I don't want to go over that. I just think with my body, 130 is probably the max that I would hit. So I'll just stay around that zone for the next couple of weeks and get my speed sessions in, my trail sessions and some elevation, but mainly road at the moment. Try and toughen up the joints.
Yeah, okay. It's interesting you say like road's tougher than the trails. I thought like most people would be the opposite probably.
Yeah, well, I guess you would think that, but then you've got the ups and downs, and you're slow, and like I find that with the road, you're at that constant pace, and you have to maintain that, and then you don't want to keep dying off. And where the trail, you've got that uphill where the pace slows a little bit. I know the effort's probably high, but then you go downhill, you give yourself a breather, and you can keep that pace pretty high and still gain a couple breaths, and then you're back up on the going uphill. But the road there's nowhere to hide.
Yeah, true. I guess, yeah, you have to kind of be on it, kind of pedal a bit more the whole way.
Yeah, exactly.
And for the sessions this week, what was the kind of stuff you were doing?
So Tuesdays are my speed session. So I did a little bit of a warm-up, just a casual 3-4K, and then into 6x1K efforts. And out here at Maitland, which is where I'm training and where I live, it was 36 degrees, I think. So perfect heat training that I needed, because I know Coast to Cozzy is going to be pretty hot before it gets quite cold up the top. So that was a good session, and just to cool down. And then Wednesday, just getting, I think I clocked over 20 to 25 kilometers just on a cruisy long run. And then Thursday is the trail session that we do, and just doing a couple of loops with some elevation, a bit harder efforts. And then today is, this morning was another long run, 31 Ks, and I'll go for a jog later on, try and get another 10 Ks just easy. And this week's a little different because I'm going out to Uluru, so I have to sort of get that 130 in, but I would normally do a long run on Sunday, but I'm just going to do a couple of double runs and get it in.
Yeah, so it sounds like today's a pretty big one then, like 40 Ks. Yeah, geez. But interesting you're still like doing some faster stuff like 6x Ks. Seems like, yeah, more like quicker 10K almost training.
Yeah, well, I think I'm one who I'm terrible when it comes to pace. I could sit at 6 minute pace all day, but then once they go up to that 5.5, 5, I start to struggle after 40K. So I just need to work on that turnover and the stride and just really feel like get that feeling of going hard and fast. And I think doing the 1Ks, it differs. We go to 2Ks next week and it's all in between and got different fartlek sessions.
Yeah, right. Sounds like you're ticking all the boxes then. Like,
Trying to.
yeah, nice. What about you, Smitty? How's your training going?
Um, Me, well, we not much has happened since we recorded last, Tom. So I think it was Tuesday. Tuesday was probably last time I spoke about training, but essentially just went for a bit of a mix it up a little bit on Wednesday. Did first MLR in a while, but it was a little bit slower, but went for like a hilly loop around Cremorne with two of the Delta runners, Georgia and Josh, which was fun to mix it up. And then what did I do yesterday? Yesterday, I just did easy. And then today I did nothing. So I'm having a bit of a rest before I go into crewing Bondi to Manly, which is basically just going to be me driving around. So I'm not the best driver at the best of times as well. So and the best parker. So this will be super interesting. But yeah, I'm looking forward to being a part of the race and seeing you and Soda and stuff like that come through. But and obviously Chris and Colin, who I'll be trying to support as well. But overall, in terms of my training, it's probably done like 55K so far. So loading the hamstring back up, and it's feeling really good. So I'm quite happy with that sort of progress. And then I plan to do a long run on Sunday, but nothing crazy, probably just 90 minutes. And hopefully I got physio on the Monday. So hopefully I can then just start resuming a normal training week in like 2 weeks time. So yeah, pretty happy overall with what's going on. But yeah, what about you, Dom? How are you feeling leading into tomorrow?
Yeah, feeling pretty good. It's good to hear you're nice and tapered for the crewing. I think it can be pretty stressful sometimes.
Do you say it's
Um,
stress, but what, as long as I just get there on time, which again,
yeah,
that's not my strong suit, but I'm going to aim to be there half an hour early and then just follow everyone around. The one thing I'm worried about is that 62K, if there's a bit of a split up. But like pretty sure everyone should have everything by then. But anyway, yeah. How you feeling, Dom?
yeah, feeling good. Yeah, at the start of the week, I think when I saw you, I was making sushi and had like a 1 kilo bag of rice, and I've pretty much gone through the whole bag of rice this week, which is yeah, a bit over sushi now, but it's good. And the week's been pretty cruisy, just stretching and jogging here and there. I did a research study at Macquarie Uni. I don't know if I mentioned that last time, but we had the session this time, and it was actually pretty hard. It was like you had a weight vest on and you were doing military kind of like standard testing, and you had to pretty much like max out what you could do in 3 different exercises. So it was kind of like ended up being a pretty intense gym session, but that was still pretty good. And it was on Tuesday. I'm feeling a little bit sore today, but pretty much all good to go.
A bit red hot, Dom.
Yeah, a little bit, but no, it wasn't too bad. It should be a good race tomorrow. Yeah, other than that, I went to Delta on Tuesday morning, and that's about it really. Ready to roll tomorrow. Yeah.
Are you sort of excited, nervous? How are you feeling? You've obviously got some
Yeah.
experience now, so it's not.
Yeah, I think after Berlin, I kind of just want to have like a good race. So I don't want to get too carried away and do anything silly. I want to kind of just run strong the whole way, which yeah, I think Berlin was kind of like a kick in the guts. Like it was this huge opportunity, and I let it slip through my fingers a bit by going out too quick and stuffing up the race. So tomorrow, like, I don't know, it doesn't really matter what place I come or what time I do, as long as I can just have a good, strong run, I'll be pretty happy with it.
Yeah, okay. What's the
Yeah.
plan for pace? Just curious. Or how are you thinking
Pace,
about?
it's kind of hard to tell, but the first 20 Ks is a little bit hilly. So I think just chill out, probably even like 4:30 to 5 minute kind of pace. And then 20 Ks to like halfway, 40 Ks is pretty runnable. So I could probably kick down to like 4:20s, 4:10s.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think like 40 Ks to 60 Ks is like a little bit trickier, more kind of like single track, but not too hilly, just like kind of, kind of narrow trail the whole way. So I should be able to run that somewhat, probably like 4:30s again, maybe 5 minute Ks. And then the last bit's a bit hillier and more technical, which will probably be more like, 5 minute Ks. So I think if I can average like, I don't know, 4:45s or something for the race, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think I threw you under the bus in a group chat saying you were going for like 4:10 to 4:30 pace without realizing that like it's hilly and stuff like that.
All right.
But yeah, you've corrected that here.
Yeah. I think in the I did the 6 hour around the track and I only averaged I don't know, I think it was like 4:15s or something. So this is going to be a bit different to that. And yeah, I'll definitely go quite a bit slower.
Okay, I rescind my statement then.
All good though. I'm glad you got my back though.
What's the routine tonight, Dom, before the race? What do you do?
Yeah, kind of like tried to eat like quite a bit already in the first half of the day. So then I'll have still like a decent dinner, but nothing too crazy. And then try and get to bed pretty early because the race starts at 5:30. So I probably have to get up at like 4 and have like a double shot coffee or something, and then get going.
Coffee's always a must.
Yeah, absolutely. But back to Dillon. And the reason why we're doing this episode.
Yeah, sorry, Dom.
Mate, I'd love to hear like how you kind of got started in running, because like did you play like any sports growing up as a kid, or when did you first sort of really get into it?
No, I did sports at school, but outside of, like, I'm a triplet, so it made it much harder for a single mum, to get three kids to three different sports because we all are very different people. So outside of school, there wasn't really any sports. So I just did running and every sport event I could during school. And then, I don't know, I was going through life and I just thought I was off work with a broken wrist. And I thought,
Oh,
oh,
shit.
like I've got to do something. I can't just sit around and watch time go by. And I was on, I think it was YouTube or Facebook, and this ad or video come up about ultra running, and I never looked into it, I never realized it was a thing. And so I look up online, I type it in, and the closest one was the Port Macquarie Elephant Trail Race in 2018, and
Yeah.
it was a couple of weeks away. And luckily, I had no idea what it entailed, so otherwise I probably wouldn't have done it. And I went straight for the 160-kilometer one, and made my way around. I had some road shoes that I already had, and no idea. I took some food, and I couldn't eat any of it because it just wasn't the right food for an ultra marathon. But luckily, there were some pretty incredible people that first year, and they helped me out, and they had some families there that helped crew me, and I ended up making my way around it and finishing it. And I think that year, only 3 people finished the 160-kilometer event, and that sort of ticked it off for me. I was like, okay, I have to do more of this. You get that sort of euphoric feeling where you think you're out and down, and and all of a sudden you keep putting that foot in front of the other one, and you finish it, and just pure grunting it out. And that feeling, I don't think I've ever had that feeling anywhere else. To me, it's that ultra running is just incredible. So I'm trying to get that feeling, but it doesn't last very long. And I think it was about 5 minutes, and then you're like, oh crap, I've got to go through all that again to get it. And then obviously work took over from there, and so I didn't do anything until 2020, which is with that weight vest, which was something different. I tend to I need more structure, because I just sort of show up to the events and then like I can't walk like that. In 2018, after that 160 kilometers, the adrenaline wears off and I couldn't walk at all. And I drove up by myself, so I took a nap. And then I remember having to go home, and I had to fill up the car. Couldn't get out the car.
Oh, jeez.
And I just was on my knees, and I'm reaching up. I crawl around and put some petrol in the car. So I reached up, put it in, and luckily I was the only one there getting petrol.
Yeah.
I crawl in. I go and I had the tap, and I reached up and I tapped. And the lady didn't say anything. She just must have thought, oh, poor bloke, that's how he is. But the pain that you get, and that's just my stupidity. I didn't do any research into it and
Yeah.
trained for it, so I deserved it. But this year, at the end of last year, I had this feeling where things were just going by, and it's time goes quick. The older you get, time goes quick, and you think, far out, like I've got to leave something behind here. I can't just close my eyes and I'm 80 and I've got nothing, all these things I wanted to do and nothing to show for it. And I just made towards the end of last year, sort of made a promise to myself, anything that I think of, I want to do, because there's no reason why we can't. It's just based on effort and the ability to want to. So I said, okay, I'm going to challenge myself and do the 50 kilometers for 50 days, and see if I can teach myself some things and go through that hurt a little bit. And I think that was the thing that really shifted everything for me and made me realize, like, no matter what, no matter like how much you're hurting, there's always someone going to be hurting more. But if I want to do something, I've got no excuse. I wanted to do it, and everything was hurting, but I ended up finishing it, and it's led me to the realization that, well, I could do anything. And I think we all need to realize what we can do anything we want to. We've got this life that we're living, and we're fortunate enough to have 2 arms, 2 legs that work, and may as well put them to use and see what we can leave behind in the end. And then this year as well, I did the Elephant Trail race, the 217, and this time I got a coach, because I wasn't going to go through that, and I've got to give it the respect it deserves. Being 217 kilometers, you're not just going to show up and get that done. So those are the events to date, and this Coast to Cozzy will come up, and next year I want to tick off quite a few things.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you're talking about the 50 for 50, how like life changing and just mentally kind of strong you had to be for it. Were there any like particular moments in the run where you like really had to will yourself out of bed to get it done, or anything that like stood out in particular?
Yeah, I think I didn't prepare my body for it, first of all, and hindsight's a beautiful thing, and you don't realize you go 50 Ks, but when you stack 50 Ks on top of 50 Ks on top of 50 Ks, your body takes quite a big hit. And I think it was 5 days in, I was running around the road here, and it's quite hilly, and my Achilles just blew out. And I would start at midnight and get the 50 Ks done, and then I would go to work, and I'm just walking around work like, I don't know how I'm going to get these 45 days done. My Achilles, and I'm walking like I crap myself. Like my walk was not good, and so I shifted, and I had a mate say, well, why don't you run around the oval, like on the grass? And I thought, oh, well, I didn't think of that. But this oval was 650 meters around, so that means I'll be going around 77 times.
Jeez.
But it made a huge difference. I would get some something like just put at the back of my shoe just to lift my Achilles, shorten my Achilles a little bit, and obviously strap it. And I think that was that pain lasted till about day 25, and the body sort of switched and said, okay, well, he's going to keep going here. I've got to adjust a little bit and help him out. And it's incredible, that switch where you think, oh, far out, I can't go anymore. And then all of a sudden, your body is joining in and saying, no, look, we'll get you there if this is what you're doing. So that little shift halfway through was nice.
Yeah. That's nuts. Like, it's weird you'd think like it would just be like harder and harder, and towards the end would be the worst, but there's actually those first couple of days. And yeah, you mentioned like work a couple of times now. Do you mind saying what you do for work, or?
Yeah, I'm a correctional officer. So I think day 5 is when it hit me, and then walking in there and knowing that, well, if something happens or I've got to respond to something, I'm not going to be able to.
Yeah,
so
shit.
it was 2 weeks in where I made a decision where I would take just some leave, because I'm not going to be any help. If something does happen, I'm going to put not only myself and the 50 days at jeopardy, but also other people. So that was a great decision, because then it allowed me to get the proper rest, and I'm not doing those extra 1,000 steps on my feet every day.
Yeah, definitely. That's like kind of pretty tough call to make, I guess. Like, seeing as it's like a pretty physically demanding job, and then to do your training stuff on top would definitely be a tough decision. And your Achilles, like, how did it pull up after the run? Did you have any like ongoing kind of injuries, or?
Yeah, so even now it's still not 100%. It's it still irritates me on the longer runs. It is getting a lot better. I don't need to strap it or have the heel inserts in anymore, but every now and then I'll feel it where it gets a little bit tender and a little bit swollen, but nothing compared to the initial first few days with it. So I know what it feels like to be at its worst. This is nothing to compare.
Yeah, geez, that's awesome. And then I guess moving on to like this year's Elephant Trail race, was that just like, I know you had the confidence in you from that it was kind of a bit easier, or like how'd you find that run?
Yeah, much better with the training. That certainly helped. And I think what the 50 days did for me is, okay, like I'm hurt, but I have to finish it. So I have to keep going even if I am hurting. And that mindset of, okay, I'm in a bad place, but if I just keep moving, everything's going to sort itself out and be okay. And I think taking that over into ultra running is what's important, because I think mindset is going to make or break who you are. You need the fitness for the distance, but it all, as you will know, it comes down to how bad you want it and how much do you want to endure the pain, because it's going to hurt at some point. It's just if you're ready to do it or not. And I think that gave me that confidence that, okay, when this goes bad, just remember how you felt during the 50 days and remember how there was a switch, and just hope that switch comes. And with that training that I did before, I always knew I was going to get it done. I originally actually put in to do the 160, and I think 4 weeks out, I decided, well, no one's done the 217 yet, and I kind of want to see if I can do it. So I just shifted, I think 4 weeks out, and put in the work, and thankfully it all paid off. Got close to the cutoff time, but we made it in. That's all that matters.
Still half an hour's a while though, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. It's one wrong. It's a loop course, so it was laps, and I had my partner there who was my crew chief, and she was passing off food. So without her, I think that half hour would have dissipated, and I probably would have been over. So she made it quick for me and made it. Well, I put it down to her that I finished in time, and then also with the last 2 laps you get to have your paces.
Yeah.
And I put it down to them that they're the only reason I finished. So thank God they were there.
Yeah, that's nuts. And how'd you go like running through the night and stuff like that as well? Did you sleep much or?
No, I this race is different. It starts at 5:30 p.m. So I didn't get the greatest sleep Thursday night. So I woke up early. I think just nerves and you know that you're going to put yourself through a long time of running. I think it just gets to you, and I didn't have a good sleep. And then I tried to get a nap in during the day. I was laying down for what felt like forever, probably 2.5 hours. Nothing. Just I couldn't close my eyes, couldn't fall asleep. So I'm up all day, and then got started. So it started at night, which I actually really enjoyed. And during the day, it just felt like the sun would rise, and it felt like 2 hours later the sun was going down. Like I don't remember the days really at all. It was just night, which was a lot cooler. It was good for me. So that was good. But I tried to get in I think I was on lap 6, and I tried to get a 5-minute nap in at one of the little minor checkpoints, and didn't work. So I just said, oh, right, I've got to go. This is it.
Yeah, that's nuts. How was your mind? Like, were you kind of, I don't know, losing it a bit towards the end, or were you still thinking it was straight? Yeah.
I think lap 6 was the toughest lap. I started vomiting and I couldn't keep anything down. I couldn't even drink water. So I was trying to run and then just having to stop and real severe vomiting, and then nothing was coming out. So I was just thinking to myself, well, how the hell am I going to get this done? I can't put anything in the body. I've got 80 Ks to go and I'm in all sorts. And so I just said, I quickly made the decision, well, if I pass out, I pass out. And I'll just keep going until I pass out. If I can't put food in, I don't want to stop it here and pull it. And so luckily I didn't pass out. Obviously I got to finish. But I picked up my pace on that lap 7. So all I needed to do was get around, finish that lap, and then I'll be picking up a pacer. And that changed everything. But obviously sleep deprivation kicked in, and I wasn't much of a conversationalist, so apologies to him. And but I got to lap 7. I started seeing these trees and what I thought were in trees, and I've never had that feeling where it's you think you're seeing something, but you know it's not there, but you can't not see it.
Really? Jeez.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, what's that up ahead? To everyone, and like, no, Dill, there's nothing there, mate. So just keep going. Like, what is this? Like animals or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And, yeah, obviously there were no animals there, but yeah, that was that. That was a funny feeling.
Yeah,
I've never had that before.
Insane. And obviously you didn't try and drive home after that one, or?
No, I had so I drove up in the RV that we had with my partner, and the plan was for me to drive back afterwards.
Seriously, fuck.
And luckily her mum and dad come up, and I didn't know. I got to see them at the finish line, so that was pretty special.
Yeah.
And her mum offered the drive home. Thank God.
Yeah, good idea. I love that story about trying to fill up the petrol though.
Oh yeah, well it's good to remember, but damn, it hurt.
And yeah, you mentioned like getting a coach and stuff. How did your training kind of change from like what you were doing before?
Well, it was during the 50 for 50, because I have no idea when it comes to running. I still got no idea. I need someone to tell me, hey, this is what structure looks like, and this is what a proper training plan looks like, and then you've got to trust the process, which I did, thankfully. And but I was during the 50 days, obviously I was going through some shoes, so I would go down to the Pure shop at Maitland, and that's where I met Ben Kubra. And I didn't know at the time, but we got to talking obviously each time I went in, and he coaches, and I decided to join that the Strokes No Limits coaching that he does, and that's where everything sort of changed, and it was godsend. So it's crazy how the world works, where I'm doing my thing and I'm coming in and buying some shoes, and all of a sudden I'm a part of a running group that's literally got me to be where I am now, and thankfully finishing the Elephant Trail race. So I wouldn't have done that without the group, because it keeps you more accountable when you go out with people instead of being on your own. And when you get a list of, your weekly workouts, you've got to tick them off to, make the coach proud, not only yourself. So that was good. And obviously trusting the process, which gets you from A to B.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to have someone in your corner, even it probably doesn't matter too much what the actual training is, but even just having someone kind of, I don't know, looking over your shoulder saying, are you doing this? And then making sure that you're not making any dumb decisions. I think that, every time I've had a coach, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, you're more accountable. So
yeah, absolutely. What did you do for food and stuff during the race? Did you have any sort of principles that you were trying to stick to, or?
Well, I still need to really work that out. I've got to change a few things for this next one. But I train with Morton gels and Tailwind. So those were the two main things that I sort of were using. Banana bread, bananas, Coke. Every lap I would come around, I'd be thinking about that Coke, and that would be incredible. So I got to enjoy that. And after lap 6, I couldn't do anything. And this is a little funny fact, but I hate mashed potatoes.
Oh,
Like
really?
I can't stand it. It makes me gag. But I can have boiled potatoes, which turn to mash in your mouth. So
Yeah.
it's different. But I think they had mashed potato there. And, I was able to eat that. Well, I had to, so I was forced to. So for the
Oh, no.
last
That's the
laps,
last thing you want. Yeah.
for the last 2 laps, a lot of salt and potatoes. And
That's
obviously
good.
it will have worked.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
But that could have been the worst part of it all.
Yeah. Is it like a texture thing?
I
Because it's
think
pretty
it
similar
is,
to.
because it's just like I just eat it, and it's just that automatic. It just makes me want to go.
Yeah. Right.
Different.
um, are there any other foods that you kind of I don't know, just in your general diet that you kind of eat, or any I don't know, sort of requirements that you follow?
Not really. I have thought about it. I do need to put more emphasis on my diet. Obviously, diet is a very important thing, and with inflammation and whatnot. But no, I tend to eat everything. Yeah. I need to. I probably need to do better with that. But at the moment, I enjoy the food, so it's hard to give it all up.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you're running as much as you are, you kind of need to be eating a lot anyway. So
Yeah,
may as well
and
just have what you like. Yeah.
it's a perfect excuse to eat whatever you want if you're
True.
training.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure it's probably not the best advice, but yeah. um, I guess what about for shoes that you use while you're running? Have you got anything that you kind of go to or you have a preference towards?
Yeah, well, I used the Hoka Speedgoat fives during the Elephant Trail race. I did want to try the Mafades out, but the pair I bought a few weeks out weren't true to size, so I found them to be a little bit bigger. So my foot was sliding a fair bit in them.
Oh yeah.
Which the Elephant Trail race, if anyone knows, is quite rocky and steep, and there's 2K of creek bed every lap. So foot position is quite important. So if my foot's sliding in the shoe, then it's not a good idea to use. So I had to stick with the speed goats, which they were great. They were probably a little over worn by the time I got to the start, but they did the job.
Yeah. And just jogging around for your training, are you mostly wearing them as well, or do you have a few other shoes in the lineup?
I have a few other shoes. Saucony's, trying the On
Oh, yeah.
Cloud Monster, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Don't hold me to it. I don't know if that's the name. And they're really good. Those shoes. I'm just trying. I need a higher raise in the back. Just with my Achilles, I find if I'm
Right.
too low to the ground, then it flares up a bit more. So yeah, those are the two shoes that I'm using at the moment, and the Brooks Glycerin.
Yeah. Okay. And any other kind of food hacks? Like, do you take any protein powder or supplements, stuff like that?
I do. I take some protein powder. I take Tailwind Recovery after my long sessions.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
try to get that in as soon as I can and get the recovery going as quick as I can. And then just when it comes to just like fish oils and magnesium and just your basic stuff, nothing too special.
Yeah.
But for me, yeah, is probably not the main focus, which probably it needs to creep forward and become quite a big focus.
Yeah. Do you do any like gym workouts on, I guess like in your job, you probably have to be.
Yeah, I was before this prep for COSI, I was going quite regularly, and but at the moment, I think I'm trying to get all this running in
Mm.
and around work. Any upper body at the moment isn't really going to help me for the run.
Yeah.
So it's just focusing on the legs and strengthening my ankles and my knees and my hips and the muscles surrounding them. So at the moment, the focus is just legs, and that's Monday night and occasionally Wednesdays. And yeah, so just minimal at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, it's better than most runners.
Yeah, including me. But anyway.
And other like running equipment, like what pack are you using? Did you use poles at all in the Elephant Trail?
Yeah, so poles were new to me as well. I think I picked them up only a couple of weeks out from the race, and getting used to that is different. I didn't realize
Yeah.
how difficult it was, and it just felt awkward at the start. And then obviously I made sure, okay, I've got to get quite a few trail sessions in here using these before I start. So I got a bit better, but they were, yeah, they were pretty good in the race because it alleviated the back pain that I would normally get if I'm going uphill, because I tend to lean too far over. So just keeping my body upright and putting some of the effort into the arms rather than keeping all the effort in the legs made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Saving them for the downhills as well.
Mm. And
With the pack, so it is that, yeah, I just use a Salomon pack. That's got me through a couple of years, so I probably need to get a new one.
yeah, I think I've got the same one probably. Any other gear like you kind of run with, or that's kind of the setup?
Yeah, I'm pretty basic, I think. Like I I don't know much about running at all. I just sort of show up. I want to race, and I do the race, and I just go, okay, well, what's going to get me through it? Okay, poles, a pack, and shoes. So I just keep it pretty basic.
Yeah, absolutely.
That I'm not sure if I heard you correct at the beginning. Like the first race you did was that 160K race
Yeah.
off like no training.
No, I did it with the cast on, and which made it difficult to eat at times. But I didn't know how far 160 k's was.
Yeah.
Like you drive it, but you don't really take notice. And I thought, oh yeah, well, 160 k's, that's the longest one that they've got, because they didn't have the 217 at that time. And I thought, oh yeah, I'll do that and see what happens. And I found out real quick how far.
What was it? What was it like? Like, what was that one like compared to the more recent one you did with obviously training? Like, how did the race progress? Given obviously it's unfolding and it's becoming quite apparent that this is probably not what you expected in the slightest. So I'm just curious what that was actually like.
Well, they've changed the course since then, so it was a little bit easier, still quite high elevation, but now they have a section which they call Death Valley, which is ridiculous. I don't know why they put that in there. You look at it and you go, how did they get this across the board? Like, how is this safe? But I didn't have to worry about that on that first year, thank God, because I wouldn't have got the time. But every lap I was doing, back then it was 25K laps.
Yeah.
And I had to do 6 of them, I think. And I was just going around. I was like, far out. Everything feels longer. This hill feels longer. It's like someone's coming in, dump some more dirt, and it's steeper. And then so the laps just drastically drew out and got bigger. And luckily, I had these 2 people I was running with that they helped me out quite a lot, and their crew became my crew, which was good. But the pain that your joints endure through that is that's why I knew, okay, if I'm going to go back there, I need to put some proper training in.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And do you kind of like running like a lapped course that you can just kind of tick off one lap at a time sort of thing? Or do you reckon it'll be better running like point to point or in a loop or something?
I've had this discussion with a few people. I definitely prefer looped, I think, because in my head and this the race gone, like numbers is just all I think about. I think that passes the time for me. Is I know, okay, this lap is going to be this much elevation, this far, and then I can sort of control the following laps. And it was good because my partner, who had never been in this situation before, she was sort of thrown out there and became my crew of one. And so I could go through some times, okay, I'm going to be back at this time, and the next lap's going to be this time, the next one's going to be this time. Whereas I think if it was just out and back or one point to another point, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So it made it a lot easier for her. And I think even doing through the 50 days is the 70 laps around the oval, that become like I felt like I can control it a bit better. And I think I get probably too much in my head when it's a point to point.
Yeah.
And not knowing what's ahead or what time, and then I start freaking out because now the numbers which I normally go over, if they change. So I like loop tracks much better.
Yeah, makes sense. No, I think it's a good point. I think I'm probably the same, to be honest. I think running around the track for 12 hours, like there was something about it that was like kind of what you're in for. All the kind of variables, are taken out of it. It is what it is. Like, yeah. But I think Coast to Cozzy should be interesting. Have you got like a crew sorted for that, or what's the strategy going into that?
Yeah, well, that's going to be my first point to point race that I've ever done.
Yeah.
So I've got my coach Ben. He's going to crew me. He's crewed there before, so he's got some knowledge on the course, and we've just gone through a breakdown of each checkpoint. And thankfully, like after you get past 25Ks, which is the first checkpoint, you have a car that follows you, and you can have that car stop whenever you want, 3Ks, 5Ks, 10Ks, whatever. So they'll drive around, go up ahead, let's say 5Ks. You meet them there, they can hop out the car, pass you off some stuff, and then you just keep going. I'll see you in another 5Ks. So that part is going to be a lot better because you can get your food in. You don't have to carry as much with you. And just getting through that first 25 kilometers, but you're fresh and you should be able to do that easy. But it's going to be much better. But then obviously you still got to put those Ks in the legs on the road. That's what I think I would be worried about a little bit. But
yeah, sounds like you're dreading it.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I know what it feels like, and I've got to go through it again. But I know how I'm going to feel afterwards, which is going to be pretty special.
Yeah. Is there much elevation in obviously it ends at the top of Kosciuszko, but are there any hills along the way, or?
Yeah, I think it's just it's sort of a steady incline. There's a couple hills but nothing drastic like the elephant race. So I think knowing that it's 5,500 meters of elevation. So the elephant
Okay. Oh,
trail race,
really? That's not too
yeah,
bad.
yeah, it's not too bad. So the elephant trail race being 11.5, I know I
Yeah.
can get the elevation in my legs. I just got to go the distance.
Yeah. Right. Jeez.
And you
Well,
finish downhill, so there's that to think of.
you finish on the downhill. Oh,
You
because you're
go
out
up,
back. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
you
right.
go up the top and then back down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Um, yeah, I think that was pretty much it from me. Smitty, did you have any other questions you wanted to talk about, or?
Not particularly. I'm always sort of reassured to stick to the roads for a little bit after hearing about how crazy some of these races are. But
No, he's saying the roads are the hardest though.
yeah, but to be out there for so long and doing, like, you're talking about loops being like a good thing. I can't I don't even like running around a track like for a 2K loop, but I don't know, maybe I'll get there one day, but no, Dom, I don't have anything else, but it just, yeah, the journey so far in running sounds incredible, especially like I'm still baffled that was the first race you attacked, but it's probably if anything, like, much better you didn't know. If it, like you said at the beginning, like if you sort of really broke it down in your head, it might have been hard to get to that start line, but
Yeah, I think that was the best thing is I didn't know. Thank God, because I don't think I would have signed up for it if someone told me, "Hey, mate, you're not going to be able to walk for 2 months afterwards." No way.
Yeah, so it's like crazy that your body just completely almost shuts down after, but you can still like in that moment will yourself forward, which I don't get. Like, particularly like if like I remember when I first started doing longer runs, and obviously this is not comparing comparing anything, but it's like a shock to the body, and you kind of like, just if you haven't pushed past a certain point, you sort of like, yeah, it's just painful. But I don't know how you could, with not much training, just push that much further. Like, I can't actually, yeah, I just can't imagine what that was like. So, but yeah, it's wild.
I think I was just prepared to just leave it all out there, and I think I just made that during that race. I made that switch where I go, okay, I've obviously this is extremely painful and the worst situation I think I've ever put myself in, and I just said, I'm going to finish it and I'm going to enjoy it when I do finish it, after I could start walking again. And it just that moment that you have where you think you're out and then you keep going and you finish it. Like, I think everyone should experience it because your life would never be the same after that moment. And it's euphoric and it's such an incredible feeling. And I think, like, making that decision through the race ultimately changed how I was going to live the rest of my life.
Yeah. Have you ever like read or listened to anything from David Goggins at
Yeah,
all?
I have. Yeah. So
Yeah.
a lot, especially on the 50 days, I had him in the ears.
Yeah, because I remember listening to a podcast and him talking about the like first ultra he did, and it's like a similar sort of thing. He like had no idea what he's got himself into, and particularly I think it was at like, I don't know, he had like another 60K. I can't remember exactly, but his body like just started shutting down, and then like, but he still willed himself forward, and I think his feedback was similar. Like, he didn't know what sort of pushed him to the end, but it sounds similar in your situation. But like, when you're at what were you just like shuffling, or like literally how did you complete when you had 80Ks to go? Like, what is the scenario there? Are you literally just walking, shuffling? I don't even know.
Yeah, so this race, everything felt really good, and I felt like I had some niggles before, like leading up in the few weeks and doing some runs. I would hit 40Ks, and I felt just every joint just really hurting. And I thought,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna get through this race. But then all of a sudden, I started the race, and it was everything come together.
Mm.
And I got halfway through and I felt like I hadn't really been running, and which is an incredible feeling. And then hit that lap 6, and I just think I wasn't on top of my nutrition, or something went wrong where I couldn't hold anything in. So after that, and then that's when my body sort of started draining, and I was just losing the energy. So it definitely turned into a sort of a shuffle. And with the poles, I was just keeping the efforts uphill pretty good. And because I knew, okay, I can't really run the flats. I can't run the downhills because my knees are killing me. I can try jog, but I knew if I just kept the efforts uphill, good, because walking fast and running is very similar. When you're going uphill, you're not really going to lose too much time in comparison to if you slow drastically down on the flats. So I knew the flats and the downhills were going to slow, so I knew I had to keep the efforts uphill. And I banked a few hours at the start. I knew I had to go out hard from the start, and each lap got slower and slower, just because for me, running on the rocks after every lap, I knew my joints were going to blow out, and that's going to slow you down. So I knew I had to bank those hours right from the start.
Yeah. And there were a couple of other people in the race, wasn't there, as well? Did you
Yeah.
did you run with them much or not really?
There was one that I did at the start, and I knew I was just trying to sort of see how he was, because he was actually one that I was worrying about before we started. And I thought, okay, I'm going to put a hard first lap out and just see if he can follow me. And I knew, okay, I've got to get halfway through this lap, which is where all the incline was, and see if he's still there. And then, and which was a gamble for me as well, because it didn't obviously go wrong for me, but I knew, okay, I'm going to put out a hard effort. And if he's there, he's there. He'll probably stay. But if I can get him to go a little bit deeper than he would have planned previously, then I might get him to drain himself. And I think halfway through, we come back up that last climb, and then I started the descent back down to the main checkpoint, and he wasn't there. And I thought, okay, well, now it's just me, and I've got to maintain this. And so I think, yeah, 14 Ks in, we were running together. And from that point on, it was just, a solo effort then.
You're right. Jeez.
Yeah.
Did you kind of have like down moments and up moments? Like, it sounds like, I don't know, it was all tough, but like, was there any kind of positives out of it or?
Yeah, the first 4 laps were incredible, and that flew by. I felt like I just went out for just a casual run, and yeah, I've never had that feeling before on any run like that, where times just pass so quickly for me. And obviously that lap 6 was the low point, where I thought, I think for about a minute there, I was thinking, if I just stop, people are still going to say, good effort, it's all right, you did it, it's a tough course, no one's done it for a reason. And then I thought, what the hell am I doing? Why am I thinking this? And then, so that didn't last very long. And then from then, it was just a painful journey, but enjoyable. So because you have the 217K race, you have the 160K race, the 100K race, the 50, the 25, all on the same course, you get to see so many people, and they're going different ways depending what race you're in and what lap you're up to. You're going either one way or another. And there was pretty special to see a lot of people out there. And I think people encouraging, but for whatever reason, trail running and that community is a community like no other. Everyone knows what you're going through, and everyone, no matter how much they're hurting, they're always yelling out, "Oh, good work, you're doing really well." And I think you don't really get that anywhere else. So you go, oh, look at them, they're happy. Why can't I be happy? Let's enjoy the moment. Yeah, I'm hurting, but really, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, that got me through.
Yeah,
What
that's
does
awesome.
what does your partner think of these endeavors?
Uh, I don't know. I think she's coming around to it. It's very different for her. Her and her family are complete opposites. They aren't really in the fitness scene and the running scene especially.
Yeah.
But I think when I said the 50 days to her, she's like, I think you're stupid. But I knew I had to do it. And then now she's come around and she's been incredible now. She's made that switch and she can see what it means to me. Sometimes you just get this feeling where you have to do something.
Yeah.
And no matter what's said, I think she realized, okay, no matter what I say, he's going to do it. He has to do it. In order for him to be who he wants to be, he's got to do it. So that's pretty special.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds very supportive in especially after saying something like, I'm going to do this. It's probably going to take, obviously she could see you sort of, it was something you needed to do. Maybe what would, I guess, ask an advice question. What kind of advice would you give to people like just getting into ultra running, advice that you probably would have taken for yourself, say, when you were starting as well? What do you reckon?
I think the number one thing is consistency. I think without consistency, then you're always going to come back around to that starting point where you think, oh, this is tough, this is hard, I'm not going anywhere. But you stack a couple of workouts on top of each other, things start to get a little bit easier, and you keep showing up and being accountable. Run with friends if it's easier, and that way you are a bit more accountable. But I think consistency and trusting the process is obviously nothing happens straight away, and that was the hardest thing. Like I wanted to run this time and that time and have it like at the snap of my fingers, but obviously it takes time to get to a certain point. And throughout the training block that I did for this last race, consistency is ultimately what got me there. So if I could pass anything on to anyone, it would be consistency, trust the process, keep showing up, put in the work, and no matter if you have your bad days, everyone's going to have bad days. You're not always going to feel great, but get what you can in, and eventually it'll reward you.
Absolutely. Tom?
Yeah, great advice. I think it's not a bad note to end on. Unless there's anything more you want to ask, Smitty, or
No, all good.
Easy. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Dylan. Like a couple of great stories and insights there. I think anyone who listens will walk away with a lot from this. So yeah, thanks once again for coming on.
Thank you for having me on. It's been incredible. I need to get better at the whole public speaking thing, so get there one step at a time.
Oh, you did great.
Hey, you did fantastic.
Well, I appreciate that.